And it's that story about the gay couple who took their discrimination course to court to set a precedent and won. Martin Hall and his civil partner Stephen Preddy brought the case against the owners of a bed and breakfast in Cornwall who refused them a double room.
Well, the judge ruled that hoteliers Peter and Hazel Mary Bull, who are Christians, had acted unlawfully. They claimed it was on the grounds that they only allow married couples to share a room, a double bed. Well, after the verdict was announced, Mrs. Bull gave this statement outside the court.
Our double bed policy was based on our sincere beliefs about marriage, not on hostility to anybody. It was applied equally and consistently to unmarried heterosexual couples and homosexual couples, as the judge accepted. We're trying to live and work in accordance with our Christian faith. As a result, we have been sued and fined £3,600.
Well, let's talk now to Stephen Preddy and Martin Hall from their home in Bristol, and also we'll be speaking to Mike Judge from the Christian Institute, who backed Mr and Mrs Bull their legal battle. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Let's start then with you guys and your dog.
Yes.
Johnny, your sofa. Tell us briefly, if you would, what happened first when you tried to check into the hotel?
Yeah, initially we were met by a lady in the hotel, and it was a very warm welcome from her. She went to the back room of the hotel to get the keys, and then we didn't see her again. The hotel manager, Bernie Quinn, came out to meet us and explained the hotel's policy. It's very clear from what he was saying that we weren't going to be welcome in the hotel. We told him we were in a civil partnership. He knew that actually his policy was breaking the law, but that didn't make a difference. So we basically just had to leave the hotel. He didn't give us any help in trying to find another hotel, and that was really.
What reason then were you given at the time for you not being allowed to stay there?
It was because the hotel's policy was only to let heterosexual married couples stay in double rooms.
And that's what they specifically said. That's what they said to you specifically.
Specifically, yeah.
So you consider presumably this to be sort of fairly groundbreaking ruling on because have you had issues elsewhere when you've tried to stay?
We've not.
No, and we've stayed in plenty of bed and breakfast hotels all over the country, out to Hebrides. No, never had a problem. So this was the first and hopefully the last time this happened. So.
All right. Stephen and Martin, just stay with us because we've got Mike Judge here, and Mike is from the Christian Institute, and the Christian Institute funded Peter and Hazel Mary Bull's case. Thanks very much for joining us. And Mike, this was clearly against the law, and that's what the judge found in terms of European law. It certainly breached that because you have to recognise civil partnerships.
Well, it's not European law, it's domestic law that led to this particular ruling.
It's the Equality Act.
Yes, which was brought in by Westminster. And the judge, even in his ruling, recognised that his decision does infringe the rights of Peter and Hazel Mary Bull. And for that specific reason, he said that he's given leave to appeal. Mm-hmm. Evidently, there is a clash of rights here between people of belief and people of sexual orientation. I think it is important that our higher courts do debate this. Because a lot of Christians are looking at this case with a great deal of interest, concerned that their beliefs are being marginalised.
And how are their beliefs being marginalised?
Because essentially what this ruling is saying is that your beliefs are fine in your head and they're fine in the privacy of your church, but don't bring it into everyday life. As we heard from Mrs Bull earlier, all she wants to do is live and work in line with her faith. This is the latest in a series of cases where Christians have been told you're not allowed to live or work.
It's not the belief of every Christian, though, is it, that gay people shouldn't be allowed to share a hotel room? That's simply not
No, but the belief doesn't have to be universal in order to be protected in our society. In fact, the narrower the belief, the more it deserves protection, because if all we're going to say is that the beliefs that are popular and fashionable at the time deserve respect, well, then we do lead to the suppression of the minority by the majority, and that's certainly not something I think we should be embracing.
Stephen and Martin, the Bulls was saying that they would turn people away if they were unmarried. So it's not down to your sexual orientation, it's down to the fact that as Christians they felt uncomfortable giving a double room and therefore a double bed to people who weren't married.
Yeah, the judge addressed that point in his ruling. with discrimination law, you have things called comparators. And the judge basically says that, an unmarried straight couple and a gay couple who aren't in a civil partnership, they're comparable. If the Bulls policy treats those couples as okay, as equal, that's okay. Because we're in a civil partnership and because the regulations very clearly state that civil partnerships and marriages need to be treated equally, it's discrimination. It's not only discrimination, it's direct discrimination.
Direct discrimination that needs changing.
Well, that's certainly where this case hinged, was on the particular point in the regulations that says civil partnership must be treated as if they were married. That's the first time that that's been debated by our courts, which makes this case so significant, and why I do hope it reaches a higher level, because the implications of that for people of faith who are in business and in the workplace are quite significant.
Right, and you from the Christian Institute would not like to see that recognised, that civil partnerships are viewed in the same light as marriage?
Well, I think marriage is very special to a lot of people, not just Christians in our society, and they do recognise it as unique. And I think that once it is associated with other types of arrangements, the unique status of marriage is eroded. A lot of people would be concerned by that.
But it is recognised already. Civil partnerships are recognised as marriage.
Well, no, it's been recognised as marriage for the first time in this case, which is why this is significant, but it's yet to be appealed to higher courts.
All right.
OK.
It'll continue. I'm sure we'll come back to it, Mike. Thanks very
Thank
much.
you very
And
much. Thank you.
Martin and Stephen, thank you both very much. By the way, what is your dog called?
He's called George.
He's called George. All right.
And I think he's dozing off now. It's too early.
OK. Thank you very much.